Paradoxically, the faster technology accelerates, the easier our lives get. That's the job of technology, is to make things easy, to shorten learning curves, to make work easier, to heavy things easier to lift, and complicated tasks easier to do. They also have a cost, which is that we move less today in the Western world than we ever have in history. It's a strange thing that you can get paid more to sit down at a computer than you can to stand up and work physically. A lot has changed in the last 100 years, and this is the invisible cost. The average American today, when asked the number one threat to their physical existence, cites terrorism, according to a Pew poll of probably 9 months ago now. The vast bulk of Americans are concerned about domestic or international terrorism being the reason that their life is shortened. Now, if you go to the NIH website and you look at the top 3 causes of death, terrorism's not there. In fact, terrorism doesn't show up for the first 50, and I didn't look any further than that. The top 3 risks to you are obesity, heart disease, and diabetes. Friends, let that percolate in your mind. Every one of these is a disease of habit, a disease of habit. The United States and the Western world at large is so wealthy, so privileged today, that the top 3 threats to our health are that we will eat ourselves to death. We will eat ourselves to death. Movement is our best ally in this simple fight. You sit in a chair all day, you sit at a desk, you sit at a computer, you sit in a coffee shop. Our lives, we're like professional sitters, and very little movement is ever asked of us. Certainly very little of our muscle. Now, I've titled this Movement or Muscle. It tends to fall amongst a gender divide. Men seem to prefer to use the word muscle as the third M, whereas others may choose movement. But movement really is it. And of course, to move, you need muscle. So your mileage may vary. Choose your, as we say in Zimbabwe, choose your choice. Movement is an interesting thing. You have a very narrow, as a function of this technological boom and the physical demands in our lives having been reduced, you so too have a reduced range of motion that is demanded upon you every day. There's finite motions that you're going to have. And so what you'll find is that for some people, it's harder to do a back arch or touch their toes or whatever it is. Your range of motion is a good example of just how little your body is being asked to have a broad range of motion. One of the number one reasons that an elderly person over 75 or 80 dies is from complications arising from a fall. Complications arising from a fall. Somebody will fall. This would have happened inside your family or friendship circle. An elderly man falls and breaks his hip. He's 80 years old. He goes into surgery and never quite recovers from it, ending up dying of pneumonia from what was actually an external insult to the physiological system. He never recovered from that original fall. This happens a lot. And the reason is lack of muscle. Lack of muscle and its atrophying over our lifespans is one of the main reasons that we don't have the strength or the physiological or neurophysiological instincts to brace ourselves when we're falling. These are things that we can train and keep sharp, just as you should your intellect and your mental diet, just as you do paying attention to learning how to be a better father or mother or brother or business owner or employee. Very basic principle. Profound difference. The next one that we're getting to, you already know it if you've seen the previous videos, is money. The second that I began to pay attention to these things in this order here, money came into my life in ways that I hadn't previously expected. What used to be hard was now difficult. And that's another thing. The vast bulk of entrepreneurs that I coach with and consult and advise insist that they don't have time for this because there's more important stuff for them to do. They spend their life cleaning up messes that this stuff could have avoided in the first place. Your business is only as strong as you are. It is only as well connected to its audience, your clients and patients, as you are to those people you care about in your life. The clarity of mission and purpose and presence in your practice is only ever going to be an equivalent of that which you have yourself. And if you don't believe me, look at a practice that's run by a monster. There's everyone in their working experience has seen a crappy manager, somebody who brings toxicity to their work environment. It's the same thing. As within, so without. Every day, you need to do something. Can you fit in 10 minutes, 20 minutes of exercise? Maybe you already have a great routine, and maybe your 4 futures around the muscle and movement component are geared toward some outcome. It still needs to be broken down into daily actions. You want to run a marathon? So I ran the New York City Marathon years ago, and of course, you work back from that target. I'll need to do X many miles by this date, X many miles by that. It still breaks down to a daily, measurable input. Outcomes are easy if the inputs are correct. This issue is just like meditation, something for some reason people have the hardest time actually making time for. All you have is time. You've just chosen to give it to lower impact things in your life, convinced that they are more valuable. You know that this is preposterous. But the problem is you're successful at convincing yourself of it anyway, just like I've been. So, if you can't afford 20 minutes, you can trick yourself the same way you can with your mindfulness practice. Lower the bar. You may not be able to have time. You might physically not have time in your day today to get to the gym. Can you do 10 squats? Can you do 5 push-ups? The power of compounded, of small habits compounded is the fundamental source of power behind the 4 futures. Something small and incremental every single day. In my own experience and those with my clients, if you can do 5 push-ups, you're going to feel different. And no sooner have you done that, you think, I could do 5 more and 5 more. And suddenly the 20 minutes you didn't say you had is now you lying in a pool of sweat and complete self-respect. Feels good. Every day, measure an input. On the weekends, you might say, I don't have time, or I want to be with my family. Go for a bike ride. Move your body. Move your body. Move your body. That's number 3. The 4th is easy.